Good morning, class. Last class we treated diseases on the subject science. We said diseases are illness that cause a negative change that affects the structural and functional functions of parts of humans. We also spoke about types of diseases. We spoke about the communicable diseases, which are diseases that can be transmitted from one person to another. I also spoke about the non-communicable diseases. These are things that can be transmissible from one person to another. But today specifically, we'll be talking about disease vectors. What do you say about disease vectors? Disease vectors are microorganisms that causes or transmits diseases from one living organism to another. They are microorganisms. They can either be seen with your negative eye, your physical eyes, or with microscopes. But specifically, these are microorganisms that transmit diseases or infection from a particular living organism to another. We know examples of living organisms. A typical example are we humans. Now, the vector-borne diseases, these are the diseases themselves or the illness that's transmitted from one person to another by the microorganisms known as vectors. Now we're going to be speaking about two types of disease vector for our lesson today. The first one is your mosquito. Your mosquito. This mosquito is a typical example of a disease vector. And this mosquito carries a protozoan known as Plasmodium. And this Plasmodium is called malaria. So the major protozoan in malaria is called the Plasmodium. This Plasmodium is transferred by this vector known as the mosquito. And specifically, those mosquitoes, the specific mosquito that transmits this illness or disease is the female Anopheles mosquito. So this female Anopheles mosquito is the major carrier of this Plasmodium, which is a disease, and the mosquito is the vector. Now, for us to have a clear explanation on the life cycle of a mosquito, remember we also treated the metamorphosis, the complete and the incomplete metamorphosis. Mosquito is a typical example of a complete metamorphosis. So the life cycle of a mosquito is from the egg, the larva, the pupa, and to the adult, which we also known as imago. So this is a typical life cycle of mosquito, which makes us understand that mosquito undergo a complete metamorphosis. So invariably, we are saying mosquito is a vector that transmits the disease known as Plasmodium, which we know as malaria. And the specific insect or microorganism that transmits this Plasmodium is the female Anopheles mosquito, not the male. Now, the second case study we're going to be looking at the types of vector is a housefly. Housefly can be found anywhere in our surroundings, especially in an environment that is untidy and dirty. This housefly transmits different kinds of diseases. Example of diseases housefly transmits is the cholera, which is one of those deadly diseases. Cholera, dysentery. We have diarrhea, and so on and so forth. So this housefly is a vector of transmitting various types of diseases in such a way that when an housefly perch on your food, it lays egg, and this egg itself is the one that carries all these diseases, which the housefly is the vector. Now, there's one thing you need to note in this lesson. These disease vectors, this carrier of this illness or diseases, in most cases, they are not always infected by the illness or the diseases. They are just a carrier. It's just like me taking a particular notebook from one place to another. That doesn't mean I own the notebook. So they are just a carrier of the diseases. That doesn't mean they will also have malaria. Mosquito being a carrier of Plasmodium known as malaria doesn't mean they will have malaria or they will be down with malaria. They are only a carrier. It is anyone that they infect that will be negatively affected by the diseases or illness. So in some way, for today's lesson, we've talked about disease vectors, which is said these are microorganisms that transmit illness or diseases from one living organism to another. And we also said vector-borne diseases. Vector-borne diseases are the illness themselves or diseases being transmitted from one living organism to another through the microorganism known as vector. We also spoke about types of vector and disease vector, the mosquito, which is the Plasmodium known as malaria. And specifically, it is the female Anopheles mosquito that transmits this illness known as malaria. And we also spoke about the life cycle of a mosquito, in which we say mosquito undergoes a complete metamorphosis from the egg to the larva to the pupa and to the adult. Then we also spoke about the second case study was the housefly, an example of illness or diseases that can be transmitted from the housefly by the housefly to different microorganisms and different living organisms are cholera, dysentery, and diarrhea. Thank you.